the head. Okay. We just starting the recording, so I'll welcome everybody again. I'm Stephen Hinchy, the CIAC rules interpreter for the National Federation of Rules, and this is our 2024 rules interpretation meeting. All right, cross prohibitions. What's happening with the manufacturers now, if you look at this particular cross in the picture, you're seeing this kind of extension down on the sidewall, okay? And this is becoming an issue. The manufacturers are now really pushing the envelope in terms of the dimensions. They're meeting the dimensions and the requirements of the rules, but they are pushing the envelope. Keep in mind, how do we look at a deep pocket? We look at the ball that's below the bottom of the sidewall. But now we're seeing these sidewalls. They're no longer as thick as the tip of the head of the cross. They've got these additional thickness, and they have a curve in them, so they're actually going down deeper, and the ball's going to get in there. So what the committee, rules committee wants is a stricter enforcement when we're checking the cross, where you might say, this is good enough. Good enough isn't good enough. Good enough is going to be illegal. So we need, if that ball is not coming out cleanly, if there's any kind of restriction, we're putting in a 2-minute foul. Remember, Federation rules, all stick issues are 2-minute non-releasable penalty. The stick stays out until it is corrected. If it's corrected, then it can come back into the game of play. So remember, good enough is now going to be illegal. It's got to be virtually perfect, okay? No restrictions, the ball coming out. The same rules about the strings, okay? Sagging, altered crosses are not, altered crosses are illegal if we see them altered. Adjustable hand, they are illegal. If they have the long strings, they go off and they get cut. That's not going to be a penalized situation. The same as we've been doing for the last couple of years. But the idea is we need to be stricter in enforcing the rule for any illegal cross. 2-minute foul. All right, eye shade. So this is the deal with the eye shade, guys. This came from coaches and from administrators nationally. I don't know if it came from Connecticut necessarily, but nationally, this is what the coaches and the administrators want, either to be consistent with other rules and other sports, but this is the way the eye shade is written, and this is the way the eye shade is going to be enforced. We talked about it last year, and we're talking about it again, and it's going to be enforced. This is the description here. It's described in the rule book the same way. It's a violation. It's illegal equipment, and it's going to be a 1-minute non-releasable personal foul. But what are we going to do? We're going to, in pre-game, we're going to talk to the coaches. We're going to look at the players. We're going to tell them to get it corrected. We're going to give them a chance to get it corrected, and if they get it corrected, we're fine. But we're not going to have an eye shade issue. In the last 2 years, each year, I would get 4 to 5 complaints from coaches who trained their players to comply with the rule, but ended up in games with opponents who violated the rule. Attention was brought to the officials about the violation, and nothing was done about it. So here you have coaches that are trying to be ethical and follow the rule, and yet we as officials were allowing games with players and teams to violate the rule. It can't be done, guys. It's got to be consistent. This is the rule. Let's follow the rule. A point of emphasis again this year. Properly worn equipment. Okay, again, this is a safety issue. Equipment is designed, the equipment that players are wearing is equipment that have been designed by manufacturers for the game of lacrosse. If they weren't designed for the game of lacrosse, they can't be worn. Elbow pads cover the arm pads cover the arms, okay, completely and over the elbows. Shoulder pads cover the shoulders. Mouthpieces are in the mouth, and helmets are correct on their heads. 4-point chin strap, cup under the chin, properly worn so that it doesn't come off. You'll see in the rules that they no longer talk about holes in the gloves or cutting of the gloves, because a glove manufactured for lacrosse can't be cut, can't have holes. So if you see any equipment that has been altered, it no longer meets the manufacturer's requirements for the equipment, and it's no longer designed as the manufacturer intended. That makes it illegal equipment. and it needs to be penalized. Okay, we'll talk about the helmets again a little bit in a little bit. Checks to the neck and head. This has been ongoing for the last couple of years. Now what's happened this year is the Federation has added an additional rule. We now have another rule that's added in there. And what we've done is we've added a 1 minute penalty for what we call an indirect contact to the head. So we had that before. We were trying to officiate it before, but it wasn't really codified in the rules. We know that if we have a direct contact to the head, it's going to be a minimum 2 minute non-releasable penalty. If we have a targeted or violent act to the head, neck, it's going to be a 3 minute or possible ejection, non-releasable penalty. What we've added now is the indirect head, much like what the colleges have, probably exactly like the colleges. So the indirect is when we have a contact that starts at below the shoulders, but when we finish, when the check is finished, it rides up into the neck or into the head. That is an indirect hit. That is going to be penalized with a 1 minute non-releasable penalty. So we now have a 1, 2, or 3 minute non-releasable penalty depending on the type of check. Indirect, 1, direct, 2, direct that's flagrant or excessive, targeting is 3, possible ejection. We'll go over that with mechanics later, but that's the way the rule is going to be enforced this year. Keep in mind now, this is for checking, okay? Body checking, checking with the arms, that kind of thing. If we have a slash, we have a slightly different judgment for a slash. If we've got a violent slash to the head, we can continue to make a 2 or a 3 minute non-releasable penalty. If we have a brush, what we know and we judge as a brush, that's not necessarily a penalty. And then we can have our usual, the helmet's hit with the cross, 1 minute penalty. That's a different rule than the body contact with stick to head and neck. All right. So this year we have another new rule. We have separated the field player and the goalkeeper's crosses into 2 separate rules. So now you'll see them distinct. We have the field player, and we're going to use that term a little bit more, field player. Okay, so all your other players, other than the goalkeeper, they have their defined length and dimensions for the cross. Hasn't changed. The dimensions are still the same. We now have a separate rule that now will define what the goalkeeper's cross is. There's only one goalkeeper cross, and the dimensions are in the rule book, the same dimensions we've always enforced. The reason for the separation is because there always seems to be some confusion in terms of measuring crosses, what can be legal and illegal. And keep in mind, the goalkeeper's cross can have the deepest pocket they want. They don't have the same requirements as a field player when we inspect for an illegal cross. So now they've been separated out. We shouldn't have any questions about any illegalities, or we'll talk about a couple of other issues in terms of lost sticks, broken sticks during the game. We've got field player sticks and a goalkeeper stick. There is only one goalkeeper stick. Righty. All right. So again, getting into the rules a little bit more now. Mandatory equipment. Again, it's now written. It can't be altered and shall be worn as the manufacturer intended. So when you buy it off the shelf, it's not cut, it's not shortened, it's not taking cushioning out. It's as is. If it's been altered, it's illegal. Chin straps. Chin straps worn under the chin, firmly attached, 4-point chin straps, so that the helmet is unable to be removed without detaching the chin strap from the attachment points. This is how we're going to enforce this rule. If we do not enforce this rule and the mechanic that I'm going to describe, next year it's going to be personal fouls, and players and teams are going to suffer. So the goal this year is to talk to the players to make sure they have the legal equipment. We're going to kick them off, an individual player without penalty, if his helmet comes off. It's for the players to get used to this, to get right. If they get it right, we can just continue this as our mechanic and as our rule. If they don't want to get it right this year, then it will be a penalty time serving, and that will affect the whole team. There's just a note here in 2027, there'll be a change in the jerseys as far as numbers. Numbers will have to be a solid color, and they contrast with the jersey. We don't have to worry about that this year. Okay, the rule regarding face-offs. The rule's kind of been a little bit written, and it may still seem a little bit confusing, but I think we're proceeding with the face-off the way we've been doing in the past few years. So the face-off. Players cannot initiate a body check against their opponent, the face-off players. If we perceive it's a body check that they've made to a crouched player, it's an illegal check, and it's a flag down, it's going to be a 1-minute illegal body check penalty. They've clarified somewhat the rule in terms of picking up the ball on the back of the cross, and just eliminated a lot of the motion stuff, and it's just within one step. If we've got a player who picks up and carries the ball on the back of the cross, he's got one step to get rid of the ball, put it in his cross the right way, direct it to a teammate, put it on the ground, rake it, or whatever. One step. If he hasn't done it within the one step, we've got a violation. That's a technical foul. They've added a situation. This situation D is for an inadvertent whistle. So we never really had that as a part of the rule or as a situation. You know that if, for example, on the face-off, the ball goes directly out of bounds, we have a mechanic that we follow depending on whether the ball was in the neutral area or had crossed the restraining line. It's either a face-off or it's an alternate possession. The same rule will now be applied, and we've done this, okay? So it's really not a change. It's now being codified that if we have an inadvertent whistle, if the ball has not crossed the restraining line, we're going to reface the ball. If it does cross if it's a loose ball crossing the restraining line, we will go to our alternate possession. So we're now taking an inadvertent whistle, and it's the same as a ball that goes out of bounds. It's now been codified. Okay, interesting change or interesting clarification here. For the 50 years that I've been in the game, it was never really clear one way or the other. But if a goalkeeper, we know that if a goalkeeper has possession of the ball and when he moves it into the goal, it's crossed the goal line, but it is in his possession. We know that that is not a goal because it is not a loose ball that has crossed the goal line. But if he drops it, we had confusion as to whether it is a goal or it is a no-goal, and it is a no-goal. So we did not have a loose ball crossing the goal line. As a result, the ball, if it's dropped out of his cross, the goalkeeper's cross, it is not a goal. It will be picked up and awarded to the goalkeeper, team B, the clearing team. We'll get the ball back. Just stop play, let him pick it up, and we go. Okay, so the goalkeeper does not score a goal on himself. All right. Officials timeout. This is added to the officials timeout, and we're going to get into the detail very quickly. If a player has the helmet come off during play, play is suspended immediately. Play is suspended immediately. The player shall leave the field until the next dead ball situation following the resumption of play. 3 things: immediate whistle, player is off, can't come back until the next dead ball resumption of play. We'll get into that detail, and we will go through the game situations that apply to that. Okay, rule change regarding checks to the head and neck. Okay, again, this is just clarifying what I said before. We've added a rule, Article 2, and the rest of the rules in that rule have moved down. A indirect contact to the head or the neck is a 1-minute non-releasable penalty. If we have direct contact to the head or neck, it's a 2 or a 3-minute non-releasable foul. If it's targeted or it's vicious, it will be a 3-minute non-releasable, and you could possibly give an ejection. Okay. So those are kind of the major rule changes. There are some minor ones that I do want to go over. I'm going to go do that a little bit later. So these are questions that have come up after the first couple of rounds of presenting the rule changes. And this is a game situation we've had a problem with for the last couple of years. The question, the goalie leaves the crease during live play. How is the goalie treated once a whistle is blown to stop play and we have a dead ball? Okay, if you remember, I used the term field player, and now we're going to use that. I think we should be using that a little more consistently when we talk about our players. If the goalkeeper leaves the crease, he is now treated as a field player. So anything that we would adjudicate to a field player, the same thing will be adjudicated to the goalkeeper. He no longer has several of the privileges he had when he's in the crease. So the only exception to that is the equipment rule. Obviously, a goalkeeper is not required to wear a shoulder pad or an arm pad. He does have to wear his chest protector. So we're not going to be enforcing an illegal equipment rule on the goalkeeper. But his behavior outside the goal, he's treated as a field player. Once we have a dead ball, okay, that's during a live ball situation. Once we have a dead ball, the goalkeeper now becomes a goalkeeper again. And this is for the rules. For example, we had the issue of what happens if a goalkeeper loses his piece of equipment, piece of equipment, when he is outside the crease. Over the last couple of years, the rule was we had to blow the whistle. Now we're treating the goalkeeper as a field player, which means he loses his cross, loses a piece of equipment, breaks his cross. He's treated the same way we would treat a field player. That does not immediately stop the play. Loss of helmet, different rule, okay? But once the play has stopped, he is now the goalkeeper again. So if he lost his piece of equipment, lost his cross, broke his cross, he's allowed to repair the equipment. He's allowed to go retrieve his cross. He's allowed to get a cross from the sideline if it was a broken cross, and he's given his 5 seconds to get back into the crease area. So a dead ball situation, he now has his goalkeeper privilege, but if he comes out of the crease during a live ball situation, he is a field player and treated the same way. If you note here, it says note 2, if the goalkeeper's stick is broken, they can get a replacement from the sideline, and we give him 20 seconds to get to the sideline, get back to his crease. We should be using our timers. Okay. Next question, what's the consequence of a goalkeeper outside the crease breaking or losing their stick? I think I just addressed. If he's playing without it and he's not in the crease, this is going to be a technical foul, just like you would do with any other player. If he broke his cross, he's supposed to get out of the play and get a new cross before he can play. You do not have a cross, you are no longer a player on the field. It's a technical foul. And we would do it the same way we enforce any of those. Okay, this question is regarding face-off players. Is it permissible for them to initiate a body check against their opponents immediately upon the whistle? Okay, if we deem the contact after the whistle to be a body check to a crouched opponent, it will be an illegal body check. This is not prohibiting us from checking the cross, checking the hands on the cross, those kinds of things that we usually will have to adjudicate on the face-off. But, you know, pinning, withholding the ball, those same technical fouls that we see will still be called. We're just not saying that the face-off player has to play the ball first, but we're also saying they can't check their opponent. Helmets coming off during live play. Is the play stopped immediately, and must the player leave the field? And can they return before the next dead ball? Is play stopped immediately? Yes. Must the player leave the field? Yes. Can they return before the next dead ball? No. Helmet comes off during live play. The game is stopped immediately. If team had possession, team maintains possession. If B had possession, team B maintains possession. If the ball is loose, we use alternate possession. We're not penalizing any player and the high school rules for losing their helmet, their penalty is we're kicking them off. And they can't come back until a dead ball occurs and a new whistle. If we have a helmet that's deliberately coming off, like preventing a goal, a goalkeeper tears his helmet off or another player tears his helmet off so he can get that whistle, we can assess an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, 1, 2, or 3 minutes. Okay, that's our discretion. You make that judgment. We know the situations that could occur to make that happen, and that's how we would use that rule. A timeout does not buy a player's way back onto the field. A timeout, we need a restart of play and then a whistle before the player can return. Okay, so he's out for a cycle. A end of the period does not buy him back in for the start of the next period, and a timeout, as I said. Okay. So there are some corrections to the rule book. These are kind of typos. If you don't have access to your online rule book or don't have the rule book yet, just make a note of these things. I'm going to go through the rule book and I'll towards the end, and I will show you exactly where they are. The first correction, this is page 46. This is regarding an over and back, and that a player cannot bat the ball with the foot or any other part of the body. The way it's printed, it says of any other part of the body, which doesn't make sense. Change the word of to or. Page 52, this is a situation of, the situation is goalkeeper has possession of the ball, steps out of the crease, and he's checked back into the crease, whether it's legal or illegal. But it says A1 checks B1, who's the goalie, into the crease. And it should say B1, not A1. I believe it's written as he checks A1 back into the crease, and it's really supposed to be B1. So this is it becomes a violation. Okay. The last correction is in page 75. This is rule 652. It's a situation D. It refers to the goalkeeper. It's actually, I think this is actually a redundant situation, may end up coming out next year out of the book. But while in the crease, his stick is broken. And there's a phrase that says, regardless of whether the goalkeeper is in or out of the crease, just cross that part out. It doesn't matter. The situation says while he's in the crease. So that is a not required. The line isn't needed. So if you just cross that out. Those are the only corrections I have, except I do know there's one other I saw. I haven't gotten any word on it. One of the articles, there's a rule that has Article 2 written twice. It's no big deal. You'll know how to officiate. All right. So now we're going to go through roughly 11 game situations regarding the helmet. All right. We're going to reiterate. I'm not going to say it every single time because it's at the beginning of each one of these. Player loses his helmet. We have an immediate whistle. The player goes off, and then we're going to award the ball appropriately. And the player stays off until the next dead ball and the whistle to restart. So if A1 loses a helmet, what do? We blow the whistle. A1 leaves the field, and after the next dead ball following the resumption of play, he can come back in. Is Team A allowed a 20-second substitution? Yes. He's got to go off, so he's going to be substituted for. We're not putting the team at a disadvantage, just the player. But if the A is substituting, then B is allowed to substitute. We'll use our 20-second timers for this to get them on. Okay, straightforward. A1 loses helmet. Second, A1 has possession, loses the helmet as he's about to shoot on goal. Then he shoots after losing his helmet and the ball enters the goal. What do we have? We have an immediate whistle. So if we have an immediate whistle, the goal does not count. He lost his helmet, then shot. When he lost his helmet, despite there being a delay in us blowing the whistle has been blown. Okay, so that means any shot after the whistle is blown is not going to count as a goal in this case because he lost his helmet. No goal, A leaves the field, and we award the ball to Team A. So Team A does get the ball back. Okay, next. Third situation, A's got the ball. He's legally checked by B, and during that check, A1 loses their helmet. What do we have? We have a whistle. A1 lost their helmet. We have a whistle. A1 leaves the field. He's replaced, and we award the ball to Team A outside the goal area. Okay. He lost his helmet. This is the key, guys. We're not going to get any discussion in how he lost his helmet, the fact that he lost his helmet. Okay, situation 4. Same, A1 with possession is illegally checked by B and loses his helmet. Again, a whistle. Okay, A1 does leave, but B1 leaves with a penalty, and A1 is going to get the ball outside the goal area. So we have a penalty situation. A1 still has to leave. B serves their penalty time. A gets the ball. Next, A possesses the ball, illegally checked by B, loses the helmet as they are about to shoot on goal. A1 shoots after losing the helmet, and the ball enters the goal. Well, we've already addressed this. Whistle, flag, no goal, A1 leaves, B serves a penalty, A gets the ball outside the goal area. Situation 6, ball's loose, A1 loses helmet, could be B, okay? Either team loses their helmet, immediate whistle, player goes off, the ball is awarded by alternate possession. This is not a situation where we're going to wait for somebody to pick up the ball. Ball's loose, whistle's got to be blown. This is we need to use alternate possession in this case. Situation 7. A1 has possession, but B1 loses their helmet. We have an immediate whistle. B1 leaves the field. A1 gets the ball outside the goal area. There is no penalty for losing the helmet. Again, we'll go back to if a player took his helmet off deliberately, that would be a different situation. That'd be an unsportsmanlike conduct and time serving. Player would still have to go off, but he's going to get a time serving unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. But in this scenario, B1 leaves, he's not penalized, A gets the ball. Situation 8. A1 shoots on the goal, and the shot is in the air when A is checked legally or illegally and loses their helmet. The ball being in the air is going to be a loose ball. So if it's a legal check, it's going to be a loose ball, and we're going to award by alternate possession. A1 has to go out. If it's an illegal check, we're going to have a penalty situation, obviously, with B. So B is going to serve the penalty, and A will get the ball because it's a time-serving penalty and awarded to A. Okay? Need to be clear on that one, but the shot is a loose ball, so if it was a legal situation, it's going to be an alternate possession. Situation 9, A1 shooting as time expires, and while the shot is in the air, the horn sounds, time expires. A1 is then checked legally or illegally and loses their helmet. Okay, so we have a shot, we have a horn, and what we do, what our rule and our mechanic is, we're going to allow the completion of that play. If a legal goal scores, that goal will count. If it doesn't score, and now we'll adjudicate the rest of the situation. So B, legal check, A loses their helmet. A is still going to go off, and they're not going to be able to come back for the next play for the next beginning of the period. B1 is stays in. We had a loose ball. We're going to start with a face-off the next period. If it was illegal, B is going to serve a penalty. Team A is going, if we didn't have a goal, Team A is going to get the ball, same relative position on the field. Okay. So if they were in the goal area, they're going to go laterally to the goal. If a goal did score, it's going to be a face-off at the next to start the next period. A goes off and cannot be on the field for the next face-off. Okay, that one got to work through a little bit more. Situation 10. A loses their helmet and leaves the field. Before play resumes after the whistle or after the play resumes, Team A calls a timeout, hoping to create a dead ball to keep A1 in the game. So situation A, okay, we haven't had a restart. A cannot come back if a timeout is called. If we restart play and Team A immediately calls a timeout, we've had our dead ball situation, and now Team A can come back onto the field. The difference, we had a restart. Okay, timeout was called in both situations, but we had a restart, and that in the second situation allows them to re-enter. All right, this is situation 11. A1 loses their helmet, play is stopped. A1 is substituted for, leaves the field, but returns to the game before the next dead ball. That'll be a technical foul. Most likely, it's going to be non-time serving. It's going to be awarding the ball, but there is the possibility it could be a time serving penalty. He comes back on the field. We've got a technical foul. Okay. So, Robbie, I don't know if there are any particular questions came, but if not, I just wanted to go through the rule book briefly just to show you where some changes are. Excuse me.
We had two ones that we'll do the helmet one first. Okay. Ball in the air, ball's in the air, then the helmet becomes lost. Goal counts or does not count. I guess ball's already in flight. Right.
Okay. So, and that's a good question. That's the distinction we have to make. Okay. Player takes a shot. After he takes his shot, ball's in the air going towards the goal. He loses his helmet somehow. Okay. We're going to allow the shot to be completed. He shot it before he lost his helmet. So we do have a shot. If the ball goes in, scores a goal, he has the goal. He still goes off, but the goal will count. If it doesn't, then we just adjudicate the play the normal way. A1 has to go off the field. So this is the one situation where, yes, we're supposed to have an immediate whistle, but we're treating it the same way we would the end of a period, where we allow that play, allow the play to continue. So that is one, I guess we got to say, slightly delay. And it's an area where we can allow a goal to score because the helmet came off after the shot.
And then the next one, if you go back to the scenario of the goalie has the ball within the crease and then the ball is dropped into the goal, it goes Correct. To the attacking team, not back to the goaltender within that scenario.
No, it goes to Team B. The clearing team gets the ball. We'll find it just a sec. If you see here the ruling, okay, brings back the ball. If you read the situation, he brings the cross back through the plane of the goal and the ball drops to the ground across the goal line. B, no goal, award the ball to Team B.
Correct. And the
I'm
scenario, Team B is the attacking team.
Yeah, I got it. I'm sorry.
All good.
Yeah,
you're good. You're good.
Yeah, no, because we had the other.
It's not very well written, in my opinion.
No, I know it. And you know what? I'm going to give a clarification on that. I'm one part. I'll make sure that's clear on that because they misinterpreted another one by calling A, B and B, A. But I'll make sure. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Of course,
catch.
we've had, that's been
Okay.
Can you just
fixed for a
restate
while.
that, please?
Okay. Restate. Okay. I made an error. I apologize. Okay. If the goalkeeper, he has the ball in his cross, he puts it back into the goal and he drops it. There is no goal and the ball's awarded to the opposing team. Okay. They listed here as the goalkeeper A1. So B would get, A has possession of the ball, the goalkeeper. He puts his cross over the goal line with possession and then drops the ball. There is no goal, but we give the ball to the attacking team now, not the clearing team. Okay. All right.
What was the reasoning behind that thought process?
Because for years there was confusion about whether a dropped ball, well, first of all, it came down to the definition of a goal. If you looked at a goal, the requirements were it was a loose ball that completely crosses the goal line. And in this case, we don't have a loose ball crossing the goal line. We have a possessed ball crossing the goal line, and then it becomes loose. And then there were,
Yeah, I'll see that.
Al, usually it's the clutchiest kid on the field who's the goalie, so they give him a break.
yeah.
I think we're losing way touch with everything that's going on
We
in
are,
life.
yes, I agree.
This is really ridiculous.
Well, you're right. It could be. It could be. But you know what? For years, it was the debate came up. It was interpreted one way, interpreted another way, and they decided to finally codify it this way.
Yeah, I thought the debate was more like what Faust did with University of Denver when he brought the ball back into with his cross and it was bouncing in his stick. He didn't really have possession. They called that a goal, not dropping the ball in the goal.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's the same thing, Al. Okay, but the whole idea is, and I remember when I first started, we were asked that question and never given the answer. I was never given the answer, but I always, it's a loose ball that goes across the goal line. 2 requirements, and in this case, there's only one requirement that happened. It was loose, but it wasn't loose when it crossed the goal line, but it wasn't loose when it crossed the goal line. And that's why they're giving the goalie a break. Okay.
Well, they're giving the offense a break.
Well, that's true too. My feeling, that's why, when I said it initially, my feeling was you give it back to the goalkeeper gave it he made a mistake. Let's give it back to him.
And Steve, that happened and it still does. It happens in youth a lot.
Yep.
You get a 10-year-old that can't hold a goalie stick and he drops it in there. We always give it back to just tell the goalie to pick it up. So in youth, we're gonna award it to the goalie.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking 10-year-olds. We're not talking high school kids, though.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So until I hear otherwise, that is the rule. These are the rules, and this is the way they're going to be enforced. We may have situations that come up, and we'll get clarifications as they come out. So this is your rule book. This is the digital version that you can get on the Federation site. We went through the rule changes, although there are some other little there are changes to the rules that talk about language changes, some clarifications. One, for example, Rule 3.3, they finally wrote in there that we're to say, get it in the last 2 minutes of play. We always talk about keeping the ball in, but there was nothing really said about getting it in. Of course, we've always had a mechanic to get it in, saying get it in the 10-second count. Now it is actually specified in there. There is a change in, let's see, we'll just go through this stuff right here. I've made some notations. We have change in the verbiage for right here. If you look at the purple, we have an expanded phrase for certifying the coach. Coach, Do you certify that all your players are legally equipped by rule for the equipment for which you are responsible? Okay. So that will be our verbal to the head coach, that he's certifying his players are properly equipped with the equipment that's been manufactured for lacrosse, the way it's been made for lacrosse, and his players have legal crosses and helmets that are fixed properly. Okay, let me just briefly go through. Yeah, we only use the CBO in our playoffs, but the CBO, he's got an ABC, always be counting. So it used to be the rule for the CBO. He only counted long crosses when requested by a coach. Now he's to always be counting long crosses on the field and then call if we have a violation of that. That don't have to worry about that until playoffs. Let's see. Here we go. This is just reiterating the situation of it's a new situation. It's the inadvertent whistle. Okay, this is the inadvertent whistle on a face-off. We're going to reface unless the ball had crossed the restraining lines. Then we use alternate possession. Excuse me. This on page 42, the situation was for scoring a goal not counted. This is just, I guess, codifying a little, supposedly a little more clear. I'm not sure if it is more clear, that a goal is allowed if the shot is released prior to the end of the period. Okay, so we know that it can be a legal goal, and then the rest of the article talks about the exceptions that would make it a no goal. In other words, the ball making contact with the attacking team before it goes into goal, that's no goal. A ball that is touched by a player of either team after the ball has hit the goalkeeper or the pipes and then goes into the goal, that's no goal. It's got to be a clean shot that deflects, that goes into the goal or deflects off the goalkeeper or the pipes and ends up in the goal after the horn is sounded. It's supposedly making it clearer. I don't know that it's done that. What have I got here? This is that clarification on page 46. The way it's written, it says, and bat the ball with a foot of any other part of the body. Well, the foot's only on the leg. It should be with a foot or any other part of the body. Okay, that's just a typo. Oop, there was one.
Steve, just want to clarify. So they're
Yes.
saying this to avoid. You moved quickly, so I didn't know exactly what we're talking about. Is this
I'm
to
sorry.
avoid an over and back? Are they saying that a defender can't kick the ball back to the offensive side of the field?
He can't touch the ground. Okay, so if he's trying to bat the ball that's on the ground, what they're saying is he's touched the ground. So now you're offside.
Okay, but if his foot doesn't cross midfield and he stops the ball from coming across.
Right. He hasn't. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. You may have to make the judgment. Did the ball cross and where is his body when he's doing that? Okay. Oop, did I? Sorry. Player may not reach over the center line and bat the ball with a foot or any other part of his body, excluding the glove hand. You know, it's like 2 feet away and he extends his foot and kicks the ball. It's got to be at the line. Okay. Okay, this what are we here? This is codifying what we've been enforcing and was never really put into a straight spot. This is the non-goalkeeper stepping into the crease to stop a shot. And if someone does that, the first time it's done, it is a conduct foul, a technical foul. and is generally a loose ball foul. So but it could be time serving if he steps in before the shot. The second violation is an unsportsmanlike penalty, 1 minute, but it's a releasable penalty. So they get one technical, and then every subsequent one is going to be a minute releasable, but it's called an unsportsmanlike penalty. Okay. That's for stepping in the crease. And then later on in the technical fouls, it's called a conduct foul for the first violation. This is the situation. We talk about the goalkeeper makes a save. When he's out of the crease, A1 legally checks B1 back into the crease, while it's supposed to be B1 is still in possession of the ball. Okay. A1 checks B1, who's the goalkeeper, into the crease, and B1 still has the ball. So this is an in and out violation with a legal check. If it was an illegal check, of course, you'd have a penalty against B. That means team A is going to get the ball. Sorry. The down here on the next page, 53. It's a biggie, but no, they on a restart, if the defender does not yield 5 yards for the player when he restarts, we were calling that a delay of game penalty. They now want it to be called illegal procedure. Okay, it's still the same penalty, same enforcement, called illegal procedure. Let's see. Page 56, situation D. Okay, so in this one, goalkeeper A is outside the crease. Okay, what happens when he's outside the crease? He's a field player. He throws a pass and his cross breaks. B intercepts the pass, is headed to the goal, but there's a violation by B2, setting an illegal screen. So that situation is we're going to have a whistle, okay? Ward the ball back to A. But before the restart, remember, this is a dead ball situation. The goalkeeper is now a goalkeeper again, not a field player. So he's given the opportunity to get a new cross from the bench or to be substituted for, okay, and allowing Team A to have a properly equipped goalkeeper on the field at the restart. So once we have this is just an example of a dead ball situation where we need the goalkeeper is back as a goalkeeper, but has to be properly equipped. He lost his cross. He's given the opportunity to get his cross. If he had dropped his cross, he's given the opportunity to pick it up in 5 seconds. We give him 5 seconds to get back to his goal with our appropriate count. Okay. Well, I'm trying to find my next. Okay, we're on page 61 here. Checks involving the head and neck. If you see it, it used to be, I think, 7 or 8. Everything got moved down 1. They added Article 2, which is the indirect contact to an opponent's head or neck. The indirect contact occurs when the initial force of the contact is to the body below the shoulders and slides up and hits the head or neck, whether it's the front, the back, the side. That's going to be an indirect hit. That's a 1 minute non-releasable penalty. So it kind of took the onus off the severity of the penalty. We either called nothing or we called 2 minutes. This gives us that opportunity for an indirect hit, calling it the 1 minute. And of course, they want us to call it. So we need to do that this year. Almost here, guys. Page 67. This is just the unsportsmanlike conduct. Non-properly equipped goalkeeping defensive player enters the player's crease to block the shot. This is going to be a 1 minute non-releasable, releasable penalty. Okay, it's codified as being under the unsportsmanlike conduct. I mean, we had it, but it was all mixed up. You could never find it when you were trying to answer the rule as far as getting documentation. But now it's codified in the unsportsmanlike conduct. That's the second. The first will be in the technical fouls. Okay, page 69. You look at this B. It's kind of important to understand. It seems like it doesn't make sense. Let me see if I can move that. There we go. If awarding a technical foul, if the team foul does not have possession of the ball, either the ball is loose or the offending team is in possession, and there is no flag down, award the ball to the team that was fouled. And, you know, the thinking is, wait a minute, wait a minute. If they had possession, there should be a flag down. Well, keep in mind, this is really kind of addressing the play on situation, goalkeeper interference. He has possession. That's a play on. Okay. And we're going to award the ball to the clearing team. Okay. So that's really what this is addressing. It never addressed it clearly in past rules. So this was added in to address that situation. Alrighty. On page 75, this situation D, this is the area where you cross out the regardless of whether the goalkeeper is in and out of the crease. During the course of play, goalkeeper B's stick becomes broken or any other mandatory equipment becomes broken or dislodged. Officials will stop play as soon as they notice the problem. However, if a shot is already in flight, the shot will be allowed to come to its normal conclusion before the whistle blows to stop play. All right. Almost there, guys. Oh, here's a situation, 89. This is a situation I think we would call correctly anyway, but it's been codified as a situation. The goalkeeper with possession of the ball, at which time A1 checks B1's cross. This is a play on, okay, interference, goalkeeper interference. But in retaliation, the goalkeeper B1 intentionally slashes A1 on his follow through. And we know what that is. You know, he follows through, but he puts that extra oomph in, which appears to be a slash. This is a simultaneous foul. So what was going to be a play on situation and simply awarding the ball to B, A1 is now going to serve 30-second penalty because B is going to be serving a 1-minute slash penalty. Okay, so that is a simultaneous penalty, and both teams will be serving. Probably one of the rarest, you know, when we talk about simultaneous, everything seems to be an exception to the rule more than a true simultaneous. Okay. And I believe I have hit everything. Okay. So various comments, you'll be able to read in the book. Some of these are clarity, some of these are safety, some of these are just trying to get rid of extra words. Some of it's codifying what we've already been done, but never really got into the rule book the way it was intended. And that is it. That is all I have to say about the Federation rule changes. There are some differences with a couple of rules in the NCA regarding helmets and checks. And Robbie is going to be taking care of that when we have the NCA rule clinic later on before the season starts. So, Robbie, were there any other questions that came up by
Steve, I got one on page 38, an important typo. Situation 453, situation A, B. You got to change immediate to slow.
what page are you on? I'm sorry. Let's get back there.
38.
Okay. I know there's supposed to be a way to get back there real quick, but I'm not doing it now.
Page up.
There we go. Yeah, it's not a real page. It doesn't work that way, page up. So what were you talking about?
453, situation A, B, flag down. It says immediate whistle, should be slow.
Ball is in flight. Makes pass to A2.
Ball in flight is still in possession.
I will check that and get that interpretation straightened out. Okay. We knew some other stuff was coming in here, but nobody could find it. We didn't have John Vernon doing our proofreading. Yeah, 3A slow whistle. Okay, thank you for that.
Yep.
Guys, if you find any other things that seem inconsistent, you please let me know so that I can run them up and make sure that we are consistent in the rules. I will just reiterate, okay? The eye shading is a coach's request that came in like a couple years ago, and we're to enforce that, okay? The helmet rule, we need to get compliance of the players so that we're getting them off the field. And if it is not done consistently in play, and we don't have kind of a reduction over the season, then it will be a time-serving penalty next year. They're trying to, promote safety without having to put a lot of penalty situations in there. We've gone over the situations. If you think you can come up with another helmet situation, you let me know. And then the high hits, we now have that 1 minute non-releasable penalty for what's called the indirect hit. Indirect, direct, and then flagrant. Okay, so that's how we're going to escalate that particular foul. All right. And with that,
Steve, I have a question.
yes,
Steve, I have one question for you.
Oh.
With regards to arm pads,
yes,
we're seeing more and more kids these days with just a little elbow protector, and sometimes
Nope.
that's even above the.
nope. It's got to be
Is
on. It's
that-
got to be properly worn, and it's got to be a lacrosse arm pad,
Okay, so it has to be arm pad, not an elbow pad, correct?
not an elbow pad. It's an arm pad, right? Designed for lacrosse. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. That's exactly why they making this a point of emphasis. Okay, because of that.
Perfect.
Okay. Anything else, Rob, or we all set?
Nothing in chat. Oh,
Okay.
it's correctable within that, so we want to correct. So the quick question, sorry, was if the arm pad isn't worn correctly, we want to, again, we want to do our best on the safety regard of getting
Correct.
that. If it comes to our attention, right?
Yeah.
The
Yep.
player does not have elbow pads, different scenario, right? If they're
Correct.
wearing them improperly, we can fix them. Let's
Yes.
fix them.
We're going to instruct them, and you got to kind of keep in mind, guys. I mean, if they're going to persist in violating the rule, giving you, one time they pull it down and you keep seeing it. We know, guys, we know how to officiate these things. You've done it very well for many years, okay? In terms of how we escalate our fouls using kind of a ladder approach. You do the prevention part first. If they don't want to comply, well, that's on them. And now we go to the next level. That's essentially what they're doing with the helmets this year. It's on the player, and we're giving them a chance, but we're kicking them off so that they understand the seriousness of the issue. Regarding the arm pads, the other pieces of equipment, guy doesn't have his mouth guard in, you remind him to put in. Let's not start the whistle and then throw a flag to create a penalty situation. We can do a lot. We can still do a lot of preventive officiating. And Robbie goes over that all the time with us. For the techniques.
Nothing else in the chat.
Okay. If you have any questions, you've got my email address. Please email me. If I need to talk to you on the phone, we'll talk on the phone, or if I need to Zoom with you, we can Zoom with you. So I'm available all year long, okay, to help out as far as understanding these rules, understanding how they're intended, and let's get you corrected in understanding the rules as they've been written and we've been asked to enforce. Okay, with that, if there are no other questions, we can call it a night. And I thank you all for your attention. Thank you for listening to me as you have for many years. And I wish you all well. See you we'll see you soon at the general meeting to get our jerseys and get on board with the game.
Thanks, Dave.
All
Thanks.
right. Good
Nice
night,
job.
man.
Nice
Take
job,
care.
Steve.
Thank
you, everybody.